Here's a guide to make the transition from university student in whatever discipline to law student just a bit easier by focusing on the biggest dragon, the law school exam. Obviously, there's substantive law and brand new content, but I mainly focus here on the pedagogical aspects. Oh gosh, this looks awful. Now, you could tell I'm a trusted source because I have a pile of books right here, a whiteboard, a laptop, my bed, and a bunch of weird-looking posters. In all honesty, it was, you know how like your toner gets low on different levels? Exams are awful, but often they're your entire grade, and they try to test you on your knowledge of everything in the course. They take the form of fact pattern, issue spotting, or just a hypothetical scenario that forces you to apply the knowledge of the law. For example, Sally the scientist slips and breaks a beaker of blood over Jerry the janitor, who is temporarily hired from overseas from Djibouti. Name all the legal sort of scenarios or all the legal problems in this area. The way some people look at it is kind of like a fork in the road. This means you can argue both sides of a particular legal issue, and the professor wants you to argue both sides. There's some ambiguity that you need to catch on to and know that the law can go this way or that way. You have to show the professor that, yes, I know both sides, I can argue both sides, I can be a competent lawyer. I can be a competent lawyer. So I can argue that Sally is negligently liable because she has a duty that she breached and caused harm to Jerry. But I can also argue that she did not have a duty because people who hired her as an employee are not supposed to keep slippery floors. There's a lot of ways to kind of break down legal issues. Mechanics. You need to type fast because this is a time crunch. On top of that, you need to get used to exam pressure. It's high pressure. It's easy to get careless and miss stuff under pressure, and it's hard to do your best thinking under pressure. Unless, there's certain exceptions. Anyways, here's just the tip of the iceberg of considerations. You can think about the interpretation, plain meaning, original purpose, etc., words compared to action, standards of reasonableness, scope, application, rights, efficiency. It's tough. There's so many ways to go, and not every consideration will apply to a particular fact pattern, but it's up to you to be comfortable enough with the material that you know how to use these tools. So how do you get better at the mechanics? You got to drill past exams, preferably your professor's exams. You want to know patterns, but other exams are just as good for building up exam skills. You need to sharpen your eye for spotting issues. Summaries. Exams are mostly open book, meaning you'll need summaries. Summaries are exactly like they sound. They summarize the material so you don't have to look through your textbook. You don't really have time in an exam to look through your textbook, and you'll barely have time to look at your summaries. This is why people often have long and short summaries, and maybe even a super short summary or a checklist. You know how boxers say fights are won in the training camps? It's the same thing here. You need to put in the work so you're thinking as little as possible during the actual exam. You might come across something called a policy question, which essentially is just writing an exam on an essay. The temptation here is to can or pre-prepare answers ahead of time. For this, professors will punch you in the face for this. Personally, it can be effective with a little luck if you foresee the right questions. I'm not sure if it's worth the time, but luck is often your enemy if you want consistent top performance. I like to prepare ways of structuring my answer with elegant ways of constructing my sentence. Okay, studying. You need to know the material enough so that it's second nature. You need to know it well enough that you can use it in new creative ways. This might mean knowing it cold or sort of having it memorized in your head. The exams are about putting different puzzle pieces of law together. You need to know the puzzle pieces in order to put them together. This goes beyond memorizing into the realm of comprehension, the unified legal framework underneath it all. Now, this is just the A+ territory, so you could do decently without it. Now, just to kind of get to decent area, another important part of studying is going to class. You might say that the professor just says everything in the book. You need to ask yourself, why are they teaching this, and why do they choose this content, and why are they focusing on this topic? You need to get into your professor's head. This way you can predict certain questions and really know what to focus on during your studies. Plus, it's a good review of the material that you should probably know. Okay, law school exams are tough. And a good piece of advice is kind of treating the entire year like you're just preparing for the exam, like a good litigator. You want to kind of spend the period studying the material and preparing for that one day or whatever, for courts, I don't know, couple days. Don't listen to me. If you have a printer, so like, like the magenta and the yellow, they just like somehow the yellow runs out a lot slower than the others. So when you buy like a whole cartridge, you got to change them all out. You can't do the whole one by one because that's annoying. So I just kind of drain my toner through just printing out posters, or they're not posters, they're just pictures that you just find online. Was that revealing? Video's over.